Thank you, moderator. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to represent UNEP, participate in this ISAP2012, and deliver this speech on resilience and natural disasters in Asia and the Pacific, which is an important topic, regrettably only too relevant for Japan. Having heard the two speeches from the previous two distinguished speakers, focusing on energy on one hand and the ecosystem services, that biodiversity on the other hand, I would like to touch upon a couple of other elements of resilience, including debris management, waste management, and some UNEP experience. The earthquake and tsunami that hit Japan's Tohoku region last year, together constituted the most dramatic natural disaster experienced by Japan in generations. Japan's Tohoku events contributed greatly to 2011 being the most expensive year ever for financial losses due to natural disasters, which globally caused damage valued at approximately $366 billion. Natural disasters not only destroy lives and infrastructure, they also fundamentally undermine human security and tear apart the fabrics of normal social life. It is sobering to remember that the Asia-Pacific region has a long history of such calamities, spanning one of the world's major zones of seismic and volcanic instability and great expanses of ocean. The region has experienced more than its fair share of natural disasters. These relatively frequent major disasters underline the need for preparedness, but also highlight the Asia-Pacific region's remarkable resilience and capacity to recover. Let me dwell on for a moment on this concept of resilience, having heard the Professor Takeuchi's definition. We can also define the resilience as the ability to face an internal and external crisis and not only effectively resolve it, but also learn from it, be strengthened by it, and emerge transformed by it, both individually and as a group. The fostering of resilience is becoming increasingly recognized among experts and policymakers as an important component in natural disaster preparedness. It relates to the environmental, economic, and social sectors, which are the three pillars of sustainable development. It is our globalized era. This resilience is needed not just at the individual and community level, but also across the interdependent sectors of our societies due to changes in mobility and immediate availability of information. An important question here is, how can the capacity for resilience be reinforced? There is no single answer, as we have seen. Different societies will take different approaches. However, we can note some key factors, including the prioritization of disaster preparedness in national policy. Such prioritization in national policy would in turn be reflected in resourcing of the needed human and infrastructural asset and in extensive awareness raising and solidarity building. Particularly important in building this solidarity is the inclusion of communities in the scoping and design of the disaster preparedness measures so that habit of calm, readiness, and neighborliness will pay dividend when disaster strikes. Maintaining healthy ecosystems is important as it helps to protect lives and livelihoods from natural hazards. Nurturing resilience is an interactive process. It includes the ability to learn from experience, to adapt, and to become even stronger ahead of the next challenge. Central and local government planning can foster resilience to a certain extent by providing the information, tools, and resources needed by communities to prepare for disasters. Planning can ensure robustness of infrastructure and redundancy in critical services to provide for alternatives in time of disaster. However, the deep-seated resilience that empower people to spontaneously assist others and to stoically bear the dislocation and losses incurred during the disaster is a grassroots phenomenon that is essentially voluntary and attitudinal in nature. True resilience is an ethos that springs from within individuals, families, communities, and nations, not so much from government edict. Japan itself provides an excellent example of national resilience in the face of disaster. We may recall, after the shocking image of tsunami striking coastal Tohoku in all the destructive force, the inspiring scenes of coping and recovery that ensued. The world marveled as Japan's well-honed emergency services swung into action to conduct search and rescue operations and restore essential utilities and transport links. Time and again, we heard commentators refer to the impressive stoicism of the Japanese people as locals put aside their own bereavement to assist neighbors and volunteers streamed into the region from all parts of the country. Given Japan's reputation as one of the best disaster-prepared countries in the world, there has been intense international interest from waste management and emergency responses specialists in how Japan has coped following the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. It has been a recovery and reconstruction effort around which an entire nation has rallied. Amid such a recovery and reconstruction effort, UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, was honored to be invited by the Japanese government to organize an international experts mission to visit the region in February this year. The focus of this mission was one of the particularly challenging recovery tasks, that of dealing with the mountains of debris generated by the tsunami. Smashed buildings, vehicles, and boats, pulverized forest, and a sea of ruined equipment, appliance, and furniture. The increased global awareness of the environmental dimension of crisis include a growing appreciation of the need to recycle and dispose of such debris in an environmentally sound manner. I'd like to tell you a little more about the UNEP mission and how Japan's effort to deal with the tsunami debris further illustrate its national resilience. As the leading environmental authority of the United Nations system, UNEP seeks to minimize the threat to human well-being from the environmental causes and consequences of disasters. Part of UNEP's work involves strengthening the capacity of national and local government authorities, mitigating disaster-related risks and ensuring that resources are used sustainably within recovery operations.